Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a truly incredible story straight from our source material today. And it's a deeply moving narrative about something that's, well, honestly, so incredibly simple, yet just profoundly powerful: an old audio recording. When we think of a legacy, we usually picture physical things, right? Like property, bank accounts, or written wills. But today, we're unpacking a beautiful story about the sheer weight of an emotional legacy. We're going to see exactly how a father's lasting guidance, hidden away on a dusty old device, completely altered the course of a young man's life. It's really a story about the choices we make when absolutely no one else is watching. But before we get into the specifics of this story, I want to pose a question to you. Can an old voice literally change the path of your life? Take a second to genuinely reflect on your own moral compass. When you're faced with a really tough call, what's that mental shortcut, that heuristic that you use? For a lot of us, it's a guiding voice in our head. Maybe it's a parent, a mentor, or maybe a favorite teacher. Because sometimes the absolute most powerful influences we have aren't the loud, crazy distractions of the modern world. Actually, scratch that, they almost never are. They're usually a quiet, super familiar voice echoing from our past. Keeping that in mind is really going to help us connect with the emotional core of today's narrative. Okay, so our story begins with a pretty ordinary guy named Ollie, who makes an incredibly precious discovery. He was just going about his life, navigating the daily grind, just like you and me. But things take a sharp, deeply emotional turn when he's sorting through some old belongings and stumbles upon his late father's old mobile phone. I mean, just think about the sensory experience of that for a second. Holding a clunky piece of outdated tech that belonged to someone you loved and lost. It's basically a time capsule. But this wasn't just some physical keepsake. Hidden inside this old phone was an audio recording that had just been waiting for him, a message that was about to become his ultimate moral compass.
So Allie presses play, and his late father's voice just cuts straight through the silence. The recording said, and I'm quoting here, "Son, if you are listening to this, it means I am not with you. Always remember one thing. Never choose the path of lies and dishonesty in life." I'm just going to pause for a second so you can really let that sink in. Hearing this posthumous warning, his dad acknowledging he's gone while delivering this strict, unwavering rule for life, it totally overwhelmed Allie. The source material points out that hearing this brought immediate tears to his eyes. And you can see why, right? It was this perfectly preserved piece of guidance, delivered from beyond, right when his character was about to be put to the ultimate test.
Because, well, theory is about to meet reality. Just a few days after finding that recording, Ollie is tested. Big time. He gets presented with the absolute wrong opportunity to make some easy money at his job. It was a seriously tempting shortcut. And let's be real, we all know how dishonesty disguises itself out in the world, right? It never looks like a cartoon villain rubbing its hands together. It looks like a harmless, super quick, and highly profitable shortcut. But weighing against that easy payout was his father's advice. Ollie literally felt the massive, invisible weight of his dad's words pulling him back from the edge. He was totally caught between this immediate, illicit gratification and honoring the man who raised him. Now, as he's standing there, staring down this easy money, another vital part of that recording starts echoing in his mind. Honesty is definitely difficult, but in the end, it always wins. I love that. His dad didn't sugarcoat it at all. He totally validated the struggle by just flat out admitting that, yeah, honesty is hard. It requires sacrifice. But it's that promise of an ultimate victory that cemented Allie's choice. Energized by this truth, Allie just completely abandoned the wrong path. He walked away from the cash, choosing to carry the heavier but way more righteous burden of his father's wisdom. And here's the thing about integrity. It doesn't usually pay off in 5 minutes. Look at the timeline here. Day 1, Allie finds this life-changing recording. Just a few days later, his character is immediately tested by that sketchy easy money, and he passes by leaning on his dad's advice. But it wasn't until a few months later that he actually saw the real-world result. It took months of sustained patience, grinding it out, and unwavering honesty. But because he rejected those short-term illicit gains, Allie ended up earning a permanent, incredibly well-deserved promotion at work. His father's thesis was spot on. Honesty was really difficult in the moment, but in the end, it totally won out. Because the ultimate reward for choosing the honest path wasn't just a fancy new job title or more money for Allie. It was that deep, absolutely unshakable peace of knowing he honored his father's legacy. He literally became the living embodiment of those recorded words. So, as we wrap up today's Explainer, I want to turn this moral back over to you. Is there a voice in your life that keeps you on the right path? And honestly, maybe even more importantly, moving forward, what kind of guiding voice are you going to be for the people listening to you?